Donald Trump wins, or at least steals the news day with a new policy via Twitter that surprised everyone on changing the roles of transgender people in the military. Meanwhile, Nestle finds a way to make more weird flavors for Kit Kats by doing it in Japan, and Coca-Cola comes out with not a new Coke, but a new Coke Zero without sugar. These are some of the stories we talked about all day for Wednesday. This makes this the Conversation Daily Recap podcast for July 27th, 2017. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm your host for This is Conversations Daily Recap podcast, and of course the weekly wrap-up podcast coming up in 2 days via our broadcast on Saturday. Now, what do we do with these podcasts? Well, every single day we use our website and our social media feeds for This is a Conversation to chat with you about various conversations, things going on around the world and right here in the good old US of A. And we look for you to react to them, to respond to them, to retweet, to give us whatever you think about them. And that helps us figure out which stories are the most important, which ones are really reaching you out there in the world. We thank you so much for doing that every single day. And if you're not doing that so far, it's very easy. Social media is the key. Follow us on Twitter at @th_conversation. Follow us on Facebook at This is a Conversation, and follow us at our main website, or just go there, thisistheconversation.com. Now, on to the podcast. We start off this morning on a somber note on an execution happening in Ohio. A man named Ronald Phillips, 43-year-old man, was sentenced to death for the killing of a 3.5-year-old girl many years ago. He was put to death finally on Wednesday, giving his apology to the family in his closing statements. The death happened at 10:43 a.m. and 10 minutes after he gave the final statement, which was, "Sheila Marie didn't deserve what I did to her." He apologized to the girl's family, saying, "I'm sorry you had to live so long through my actions." Phillips' half-sister, or the girl's half-sister, was there to hear the apology when it was said by Phillips. It was a very sad story. This is a story that really had no real intrigue as we've had here in Arkansas with our executions, as a lot of states are calling executions unconstitutional and doing their best to make sure they don't happen by scuttering the process. Arkansas had some executions and planned to do a bunch of them in a short period of time, but had some issues with the drugs that they used for the execution. This went off pretty much without any incident, any problems, and like we said, the man gave a quick apology and then moved on to the next life, if you will. So this one is an ending. Can't really say a happy ending, but an ending, closure for the family. Ronald Phillips has been killed, dying by lethal injection by the state of Ohio last night. First execution for Ohio in 3 years. Let's go ahead and get Donald Trump out of the way. He actually made the conversation in official messages twice on the day. A third thing he did, which kind of wrapped into the whole first thing we'll get into, is just going on a tweet storm all day long on many of things. 1, for the health care bill, 2, for Jeff Sessions, and 3, putting out a policy, because what the president tweets is policy, we're told, about transgender individuals in the military, stating that there will be no transgender members of the military, period, with the explanation being we don't want to pay for their cost, so we're not having anyone in the military, period. Now, this took everyone by surprise, including members of the highest ranking people in the 4 branches of the military, and even some conservatives who were actually lobbying against some policies for transgender, but they were focused on extra costs for extra health care, i.e. people wanting sex change operations or other things while in the military to swap their gender. They didn't want to pay for those things. Donald Trump just said flat out, no transgenders in the military. Now, of course, the ban that is now in place sort of replaces the don't ask, don't tell sort of lifestyle that was in place until President Obama erased that a few years ago. That allowed people who were transgender to come out, if you will, and talk to people in real life and just serve in the open, despite whatever weirdness that would come out to. That made life easier for the 1,300 to about maybe 6,000 members in the military that are listed as transgender. There is no real hard number on that at the moment. What this means for people who are right now currently serving and open as transgender, we don't know, and that's where a lot of the confusion came from. Now, one other thing that Trump did, which may have been good and may have been a sign of a little bit of weirdness is he once again donated his salary from being the president. Remember, he's worth $8 billion, so he doesn't need the cash from this little gig he's got going on here. A president is paid $400,000 a year. Once a quarter, they get about, they get their money. So the second quarter of being a president this year, he's giving that $100,000 to the Department of Education. Of course, giving, I guess, a bit of a thumbs up to Betsy DeVos and what she's doing over there for the Department of Education, which, from all practical purposes, and from my vantage point, looks like a whole lot of chaos. But the president is donating his income as president directly back to the people. What kind of tax cuts he gets for that, I don't know. But that's something that is happening that he did do on the conversations, and you guys did react to that quite a bit as well. Nestle company loves making exotic flavors for Kit Kats. More importantly, people in Asia and Europe love exotic flavors of Kit Kat. So how are they going to make this thing work? Because apparently us over here in the States, we just want our Kit Kats with chocolate and wafers and nothing weird like green tea or whatever kind of stuff you want to stick in your Kit Kat. They are building a new factory in Japan made specifically for exotic flavors of Kit Kat. So they can make the flavors for the people out there that want wasabi Kit Kats, because apparently people do, right there in the region where they want it, and ship it out very quickly. So your chance of getting those weird flavors of Kit Kats here in the States, probably sort of nil, unless you know someone with a connection or have a connection to a store that imports those things. But the exotic Kit Kat flavors now being filled, or will soon be filled, by a Japan factory very soon. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola doing a switch to a factory, making sure that you do enjoy your Coke that has 0 calories and no sugar by introducing Coke Zero, no sugar, which, if you think about it for a second, there is something called Coke Zero that will no longer exist. A new Coke Zero, a new formula for Coke Zero that uses less sugar and more real stuff will be introduced that should taste more like regular Coca-Cola. So if you're a fan of Coke Zero and you like the way it tastes now, you might want to stockpile on it for a while because it will start tasting differently fairly soon. Although it should taste closer to the real deal than the aspartame of the old Diet Coke. Football player Julio Jones not only lost a big game last season, he lost a big earring, a $150,000 earring when he fell off a jet ski in a lake the other day. And so we hired a dive team to go looking for it. Yes, $150,000 earring is worth hiring a dive team to go take a look for a missing ring. So we're not sure exactly if it's been found yet from the story. We just know that he had the team go looking for this big thing. This is similar, I guess, to the fact that the time when Derek McFadden hurt himself because he was dropping his iPhone. And, of course, iPhones may cost $1,200 next year, so you know how expensive those things are. But football players and their expensive things do worry about them being lost and broken, just like we do here. And so something that cost $150,000 is definitely worth sending somebody down there in a frog suit to go possibly pull it out of the water. And a very big story that happened yesterday late in the evening that we put out there, and you had a lot of responses to it. This one will probably easily make it to the top part of the top 10 for Saturday. We have a story where 1 dead and 7 were injured as a ride malfunctioned at the Ohio State Fair late yesterday. We don't have an update on the story here in the notes for the day, but a very sad note for kids and people at the state fair just enjoying themselves at a local amusement event and having this happen. A ride malfunctions, which actually ended up killing 1 person in the process. 7 people seriously injured in this process going through the fair. And those are the stories we have for yesterday. You can help us settle what's going to be the big stories for today by simply following us on social media. It's pretty simple. Follow us on social media and open up your social media every so often and see what we have going on. Every time you check it out, it's an impression. Every time you interact with it, it shows us exactly what you know as a pretty big story. And every time you share, like, and love it, you let people know that they should look at it as well. So the more you share, because sharing is caring, the greater the conversations we get out of everyone. So follow us on social media. media, th_conversation. Follow us on Facebook at This Is The Conversation, and our main website, of course, thisistheconversation.com. Stop by our sponsors page and check out some of the great people who are helping us keep this thing on the air quotes, and of course may help you out with what your needs. Our big sponsor for this week is, of course, Coffee for Less, and we're running out of time. July 31st, not January, July 31st, the last day to register for free coffee for a year. So go to Coffee for Less, find a way to get a deal on coffee right now, and maybe they'll hook you up for a full year of free coffee on them and essentially on us. For more information on other projects I have going on, check out my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. And of course, thank you for being a member of the conversation, being great people looking for great stories and great conversations, helping us do this little project here. More great things we have coming up for you very, very soon, including a new launch, new revamp, a new fresh coat of paint on the Conversation Survey panel. We're going to help you make a little extra money for your conversations, and we'll tell you more about that coming up in the upcoming weeks. Very soon, we'll talk more about that. In the meantime, just keep on conversating, keep on sharing, keep on liking, keep on listening, keep on subscribing, keep on being here for the conversations themselves and the podcast every day, the Daily Recap Podcast from thisistheconversation.com.